This is Task for the Weekend, August 14th, 2021, and this is Susan Bradley for AskWoody.com. So this week we're going to remind ourselves that this is the weekend I make sure that I have a good backup. And what's your backup? What's your backup plan? What software are you using? And I always recommend that you have an external device that you back up to, and you don't just rely on cloud backups, or you don't just rely on the computer itself, that you have something that it goes stored onto. And I'm a fan of just a plain old Western Digital external drive, and you can get these from Amazon or Target or Best Buy or any I don't know all the stores overseas, but you get the idea. It's just a plain old, usually somewhat inexpensive, especially if you get just a little bit bigger than the hard drive on your computer. So these days the terabyte ones are not bad at all, and I always recommend that you have at least one, possibly two, especially if you want to rotate them around and have multiple copies. So then you plug it into your computer, and there's a couple of ways that you can do backups. You can do the kind of not too technical, where you just every now and then copy your My Documents folder over to that hard drive. And basically, let me back up a little bit and say, you need to think about what files on your system you would really be upset about if you lost them. So are there documents in your Documents folder? Are there files on your desktop? I've seen many a person store things on a desktop, and often automated backup programs only get the My Documents folder and the photos and things like that. They don't go to the desktop. So if you are a piler kind of a person where you have folders on your desktop, remember that you may be in a situation where that's not backed up. So think in terms of where your files are located. Think in terms of what it would be like if something happened to your computer. Now, plan on ways that you can get your data back. And as you know, we just recently opened up a brand new dedicated forum just for backup. And we have various different software that we recommend. You don't have to stick with any one. So whatever your pleasure is. And the main thing is just make sure it's successful and it's doing and making a backup of the things you want to keep. Now, I'm a fan of a full drive, not a file-by-file backup. I also either what's called cloning it or imaging it, and I make sure that I have a full image so that should I need to recover that system for any reason at all, whether, heaven forbid, ransomware, or if an issue with a patch, I can recover. So I want a full backup of my system. And how do you know it worked? Well, one of the ways I'll show you in just a bit is I look actually at the file interface, the backup interface, and then I also look at where the backup is stored, and I see if it's doing its job. The other way you can do it, obviously, is delete a file or just move it. Just take it out of the Documents folder and move it to another location. Fire up your backup software and see if you can restore a file back to its original location. So here's the backup software I use here at home, and a couple ways that I can tell if it's doing what it's supposed to do. So in this interface, I go into Log, and you see all those lovely green checks out there? That tells me that everything did what it was supposed to do and it backed up. The other way I can tell, and this is a little bit of a silly way, but it works, I can go out to the location of the hard drive where I have that backup, and I can check to see what date. And usually backup software date stamps the folder or the location with the last successful backup. So you can see every day I have a file, and that tells me my backup's occurring every night and it's doing what I want it to do. And what I've done here is I made sure that I have a full backup of my system. Now, I really don't care so much about these recovery drives and these little bits and pieces, but because I want an exact copy of that system, I make sure I create and get all the partitions. Another way, which I actually don't have it set up on this particular backup, but I do have it at the various backups at the office, there's a way that you can go in and actually set up a log file, or I should say email yourself the log file. And again, if you want to test it out, you delete a file and you go over here to restore and you click on browse and you browse up that image of where it's being stored. And then I look for that file name that I want to find. And as you can see, I can drill down. And especially when I'm doing just a file, what it does is it mounts the drive and then allows you to drill down and find the exact file you want and bring it back. So see how this is a copy of my backup and it mounts it as an H drive rather than a C drive, and then I can browse and bring it back up again. If I wanted to restore the entire computer, I'd click over here and restore image. But you get the idea. You want to make sure that you have a good backup and it's working the way you want it to. So again, don't forget, those of you on the Mac platform, you want to make sure you back up. Macintosh are not invincible, so make sure you have a backup either through Time Machine or other third-party software to do that backup. As always, have a great week. The newsletter comes out tomorrow. We're not yet ready to install updates at this time. Businesses, we're going to be letting you install it a little bit early. Individuals and consumers and home users, we want to make sure that we wait to see the issues. We're still monitoring for some printing issues, but we'll keep an eye on it and tell you when we're ready to install. As always, we're still at DEF CON 2 this week. I do recommend 2.1H1 at this time. Obviously, you want to wait until it's all clear to patch before you do that 2.1H1 if you haven't already. Until next time, this is Susan Bradley for AskWoody.com. Remember, make sure you have a backup.